Hello everybody, it's Geekasaurus Mike, and welcome to the January 24th rendition of the podcast. With me today is the man, the myth, the legend, Joemiroquai's Joey Mason!
Oh yeah. Hello.
That was either going to be you or Dane, depending on whichever one I announced last, but since he can't be here today, goes to Joey.
The one, the only, the other guy here, Joemiroquai. Woo!
I was actually thinking about, pulling up theme songs for everyone.
Oh, yeah,
just,
dude.
announcing us like that. But then I have to, click through YouTube windows.
Oh, dude, I tell you what, talking about theme songs, I was getting on some of my old jams. I was cleaning up the apartment, right? And, if you be like, Joemiroquai, you need to play that Shake Your Tail Feather from Bad Boys 2. Oh, man. Or really just get some, funky bass line. Be like, it's Joemiroquai. Joemiroquai. That'd be me.
That would be. I was also thinking of asking you what your wrestler from, what was it, WWE SmackDown vs. Raw, was it 2010 that you have for the Xbox?
I think it's 2011.
All right.
It's one of them.
Yeah, I was going to ask what theme that you would pick for your guy there.
Oh, dude, the Shawn Michaels theme.
From Parts Unknown.
Yeah.
Which,
I remember Joel's character. This is slightly offensive, but he didn't mean it like this. That is Joel's character. We always made fun of the sandwich at Burger King called the Angry Whopper. And at the little screen above, you could put your name, and I put Joey, and he wanted to put Angry Whopper, but the last three letters were cut off, so it just said the Angry Whop. And it was pretty funny.
Well, and then he based him off of Sagat from Street Fighter, and it got weird.
Yeah, and his real name was Eurotrash Sagat, also known as the Angry Whop. Yeah.
Whose entrance did he have? Sandman? Or
I believe it was the Boogeyman.
Boogeyman, yeah.
The Boogeyman, because he came out with a staff, and he just and Joel gave his character these really long
monkey arms,
chicken wings, and he just flop his arms like a chicken.
He gave him Tommy Hearns.
Yeah, like Tommy Hearns, man, the big old.
I never remember if you're supposed to pronounce the H in that name or not, but oh well. I'm sure that if Joel listens to this, he'll be like, no! It's Ernst! He would.
Right.
He doesn't get that angry over it. Or a lot. But, and then what Dane's character's moveset was, he had a diva moveset.
Yeah, he had the plaid pants. And he would slide into the ring, and he'd be all sexy posing.
For those of you who don't know, which is everyone but me and Joey, Dane, who you can hear on the first and third podcasts, he has a pair of ridiculously bad-looking plaid pants that he always liked to bust out on his birthday and on other special occasions. But getting back to things that we actually came here to talk about today.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. After, 4 or 5 minute tangent, I just did a big vlog about, what's going on with Geekasaurus Mike and all that. So I'll turn it over to Joey for what's happening with Joemiroquai.
All right. Well, I may have to go on another tirade to get ourselves warmed up, but I always say on these podcasts, I always tell people, I'm going to update Joemiroquai, and then I realized something, and that is the last time I took any kind of writing course was my senior year of high school. Of course, I had to write through college, blah, blah, blah. Blog writing is not the same as writing all fancy-like, but simply put, every time that I write a review, I don't like it. I don't know if it's kind of like a Johnny Depp complex where I don't watch the movies that I star in or something like that, but I've written about 3 different kinds of reviews for Virtue's Last Reward, which is it's a great game, and you can definitely write a review about it. But the problem with it is just I feel like that I try to approach it on a factual basis and it doesn't work very well. But I'm thinking about finally cracking Virtue's Last Reward, getting it written out, forming. I'll make it heavily opinionated because I'm a pretty opinionated dude. But what is good news that is something that is not too hard for me to write about is music. And that is I found my first band for metal cereal. There are many bands that I love listening to, but there is a new band, well, newer band. They're a band called Amaranth, and they are from the Swedenish kind of area. And the interesting thing about them is that they have a clean female singer, like clean vocals. I imagine she's pretty sanitary. A male, clean vocals, and then a screamer. And the weird thing is that sometimes with the screamer and the growling, I can take it in small doses, and for some way somehow they can blend those three voices together really well. Like they have a little bit of clean female, a little bit of clean male, a little bit of screaming, and then I didn't know this until I looked up more on the band. The lead guitarist and the keyboards are from. His name is, I believe, his first name's Olaf. I don't know his last name, but he also does the keyboard and guitars from one of the greatest yet cheesiest power metal bands I know, which is Dragonland.
You kind of cut out there. What was the name of the band?
Dragonland, which is a pretty crazy name. It sounds like a cool name when you're like a little kid. Then when you get older, you're like, it's hard to defend them like in a public argument. Like, hey man, Dragonland's a cool band. Like you're just like, really? But they really are. They're a very good group, and it's the guitars from that group with a little bit of female vocals, and it kind of makes your metal palette a little bit off the wall because I'm used to just straight chugging metal, and this has a little bit of everything. So I hope to give that a fairly decent review and do them some good justice. But besides that, hopefully I can wrap up some Virtue's Last Reward to put that in some pixels and perspectives, get more metal cereal, and I already have a topic that actually I believe Geekasaurus Mike has touched on that I might have to add a new section talking about things that I do not like. So, all in all, that's what's going on in the world of Joemiroquai.
And as far as names for a metal band go, Olaf does not disappoint.
Oh no, let me see if I can find his name real quick.
That is a metal name.
It is, and they're all Swedish, so Scandinavia. That's the best way to go. His name is Olaf Mjork.
Nice.
And I'm like, there you go, dude.
Rock on.
Yeah.
Well, I basically said everything, or most of what's new with Geekasaurus Mike and the vlog. One thing I didn't mention was that I got a new camera.
Woo!
You have no idea. To explain why that's such a woo, I kind of have to bring you on a history of the consumer video camera. I'll try to keep it brief. Back in the day, you had the giant bulky cameras that you had to put an entire VHS tape in. I had one of those. You had it mounted on your shoulder, and it was a pain. Directly after that, though, the main format moved to something called DV tape, which stands for digital video. It was a much smaller tape. It was, if you're old enough to remember a cassette tape, then roughly the size of that. But the problem was you can't put a cassette tape into a computer, since everything had already gone to digital effects by that point. So you basically had two options for that. Your first option was to get what's called a DV deck, which hooks up to your computer through a firewire cable, and you can transfer the video from the tape that way. When I got the camera that I first used, that wasn't my webcam for Geekasaurus Mike, it still ran on DV tape, but a DV deck costs, we'll just say, a lot more money than I had to spend on the project, or would still have to spend on the project. So what I had to do is I had to get something, it was basically audiovisual ports connected to a USB plug-in. So I would have to literally hook the camera up to the it would have to go through a lot before it got to the actual computer is the bottom line. And it showed in a lot of the recordings I got. A lot of time I had to do the transfer 2 or 3 times because the audio either wasn't showing up or it was super crackly, or the video was skipping a ton because it's got a lot of places to go before it gets to the computer, and some of it gets lost. But I was pretty resolute that at some point after Christmas I was getting a camera that runs on SD card, which is the typical format used today. An SD card can hold so much more than a VHS or a DV tape can, and most computers will come with an SD card slot, so you just plug it in, you move the files over, and it's, oh my god, it's so much easier. I probably would not have bothered with the vlog if I had to go through all the steps that I had to go through with my DV tape camera, but the SD card camera is just so much more convenient. Hopefully that will help with my video output in the future.
Man, what a history.
It is a long and sordid history, that of the...
Like, you set up the environment. It was like The Hobbit, really. Yeah, you had your old folks in the beginning, and then your choice, and then the conflict. Man.
I know.
I can't wait for the director's cut.
My next vlog will be the full history and future. I'll start talking about the DSLR camera and its future in video capture.
The making of the vlog.
Well, DV tape was what I learned to do, what I learned to use when I first started taking actual classes on media, which would have been late high school and early college.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm. And even because for the course I took, capstone course for my minor, I took my senior year, we had moved to SD card, but for at least my freshman and sophomore year, it was DV tape, and actually my personal camera got higher quality video than the comm department's camera.
Nice.
But on to geeky stuff. One of the biggest pieces of news to hit sort of our area recently has been the announced release of the 6th generation of Pokemon games as Pokemon X and Y.
Nice.
As you all know, I've done an article on this already, or you should know, or if you don't know, you should totally go to my blog and look at it at geekasaurusmike.blogspot.com. But Joey has not seen these starters yet.
No, I have not.
And Joey, what did you think of the black and white starters, or even the diamond and pearl starters?
Well, I'm kind of noticing a common trend with a lot of the Pokemon starters, and that is, it's hard for me to word it, but they feel like, I know that the first generation was a lot more, like, kid-friendly and all this and that, but they always look like they can, like, put up a fight.
Mm-hmm.
And they look kind of more, like, Squirtle was a squirrel and a turtle. And Bulbasaur had a bulb on its back. Kind of looked like a dinosaur, so Bulbasaur. Charmander looked like a salamander, but it could char you because it's fire. Like, it would make sense. And then later on, they look different, and then all this and that, but I felt like you can kind of piece together the names, and you can piece together, like, what they do. But I felt like over time, and it's hard for me to remember the middle generations because I really haven't played a Pokemon all the way through since, like, Ruby. But I just noticed that the names and kind of what they do, you really can't tell from the beginning. Besides the fact that, like, this one's blue, it should do water stuff. This one's red. Like, so that's how I think about the starters.
All right.
Informed on it.
So Joey, I've sent you the pictures of the new starters, if you care to open those now.
Oh, I do care, and they're opening right now. Okie dokie, and from what I am seeing, the red one is fire. Looks like a fox. Quite ironic that I opened it in the same browser with the name, with the Firefox.
Oh,
That's cute. The blue dude with the frog. Have they released their names yet?
Yes, but hold on. I'm trying to scroll back. The fox is Fennekin.
Okay.
The frog is Froakie.
Okay.
And the
thing
is Chesspen.
Okay. I gotcha. Well, I don't know how to feel about him because I don't know. It's hard for me to explain, but I feel like these guys are a lot softer than the first generation.
Mm-hmm.
Like they almost look squishier, you know, like this little chestnut looking dude, the green guy.
Chesspen, yeah.
Chesspen, there's his name. I almost wanted to call him Chester, but that didn't work very well. Frickin', if he had to stand up against Bulbasaur would take him out, man.
Oh, hell yeah. Who was the grass type from Gold and Silver?
Was it Chikorita?
Oh, yeah, Chikorita.
I knew it was the thing that threw the leaf off its head.
Mm-hmm. Chikorita would still win.
Chikorita was yours?
No, I actually almost always went with the water starter.
Oh, yeah?
I went for kind of silly reasonings at first. I went for Bulbasaur and Blue because he was on the cover. And I was like, he's a big turtle guy, and he's on the cover, so I gotta pick him.
Wait, you mean Squirtle?
Squirtle, well, Bulbasaur, or not Bulbasaur, Blastoise.
Blastoise, yeah.
Is on the cover.
See, when I first played, and I know I get a lot of poop for this, but when I first played Pokemon Blue, my starter was Bulbasaur. What? There's the 7th gym. He's fire.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm super effective against the first 2 gyms, and the 3rd one's not very effective against me. Well, 3rd and 4th. No, it's fine. I'm not.
There's this. I was actually bummed out that I couldn't pick Pikachu as my first one because I wanted to do it like the show.
That's what everyone at my school did too. We were all like, we can't get all 3 starters like Ash did?"
Yeah. Or you have the kids that also, like, they first played Pokemon, but they didn't get it. They thought that when you beat a Pokemon, that's when you catch it.
Mm-hmm.
So one of these kids was just like, I have 60 Zubats. And I'm like, all right. Like,
don't know why I bought that many Pokeballs, but okay.
Yeah, then he, like, goes to his little box thing, and he's like, where'd all my Zubats go? And he was genuinely sad. And I'm like, dude, really?
They're Zubats.
Yeah, like evolve it to Golbat and then just put it away. Like,
I didn't even do that. I would just wait till I got to a cave where there were just Golbats.
Yeah.
Naturally. Although there was a picture I saw on Meme Base that was because now that they're putting a new batch of Pokemon out. There's going to be a Pokemon 666.
Oh, dude.
And they're like, what is it going to be? And somebody had made a Photoshop that it was Zubat, Rattata, Bidoof. Basically every, like, really annoying Pokemon that you ran into everywhere, all of them combined into one horrifying thing.
Oh, man. You know what I think Pokemon 666 should be?
What's that?
It should be Missing No with, like, devil horns on it. Like, don't even make it into a Pokemon. Leave the scrambled mess, but draw 2 little horns on it.
Hell yeah.
And then put it into the show, make the movie about it.
It, like, breaks reality, and Ash has, like, he has an experience like the end of 2001 Space Odyssey.
Oh, dude.
And that's how they ended the series.
Either that or frickin' Ash has to fight it, but Missing No gains power, so all the numbers and things are running around like Ash is in the Matrix and stuff.
Okay, Ash, you gotta catch him, but then shut off your game without saving.
Yeah.
It's cool. It'll multiply the 7th item in your slot by infinite.
Yeah.
Was it the 7th? I don't remember.
I think it was 6th or 7th. I just remember that people were like, I have 99 rare candies. And I'm like, I actually played the game. Like...
And part of me wishes I had never known about the Missing No cheat, because whenever I play it like that, it'd be like, I'm basically only playing this game up until, Cinnabar Island, and after that, I've won.
See, I never actually I guess I'm not hardcore enough, but I never did the missing note thing. Like when the internet caught around and people recorded it, like I watched it there.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought missing note was just terrifying because it was just numbers.
Well,
It was like fighting math.
I forget if it was the same glitch, but there's also a Kabutops skeleton is another glitch Pokemon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of them. There's some. I don't know if this is true, but I've heard tell of one where you can fight Professor Oak and he has one of everything.
Like one of every Pokemon.
Yep, except for Mew, I think.
Nice.
Again, I don't know if that's true, and it probably isn't, to be honest.
Did you ever hear the Saint Anne? And if you use like the push thing, that's where Mew is or whatever. Next to the.
I got Mew when I had Blue.
Oh yeah.
Yep, there was a way to get him. I do not for the life of me remember what it is now, but my neighbor Jake, who was the one who told me about the missing note sheet, showed me how to get Mew.
Nice.
Yep. And now I've got Mew on my my Diamond game.
There you go.
But that's just because they gave him to us on Heart Gold.
Yeah, I thought there was. I need to look more into it, but I thought there was some kind of Toys R Us exclusive or whatever.
See, I really don't like the exclusive stuff that they do now because, okay, once again, for those of you who don't know, which is everyone, my Pokemon Diamond game, I got really big into catching them all. On that game, I have a living Pokedex, which means that in my boxes I have a Bulbasaur, a Ivysaur, a Venusaur. I have the entirety of the first generation, Gen 1. I have the entirety of Gen 2. I am missing one of Gen 3, and I have most of Gen 4.
Gee whiz.
But one of the problems I'm running into is that so many of this is just like, it's an exclusive. And I have this irrational dislike of using the global trade network over the internet. I don't know why. I could probably do it a lot easier over that, but I'm just like, I know people on the internet.
That's like some Team Rocket stuff.
Yeah.
You know, doing Pokemon trafficking. That's for connection, really.
Do you got the Arceus? I got the Arceus if you got the stuff.
You gotta talk to a dude that he's always wearing a suit, you never see his face, and he's always petting the evolved Meowth.
Oh, Giovanni?
Yeah, you gotta get your Pokemon from Giovanni.
I realized something because I saw screenshots of an episode where you see more of Giovanni, and he's super ripped, and he's like catching fish with his bare hands, and he's fighting bears and shit. I realized Giovanni is Vladimir Putin.
Nice.
Like, they're the same guy. If there was a Russia in the Pokemon world, he would be the president. Air quotes of it.
Yeah, see, I remember back in the day at Pojo, the Pokemon Dojo online, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Freaking, I remember people were like making all sorts of these weird rumors about things, and I remember one of the biggest things that I thought would be really cool, and everyone else was like, well, it's totally true, is Giovanni was supposed to be Ash's dad.
You know, I can't really think of a specific reason why he's not. At least in the context of, like, the games.
He could be.
Like, they never flat out say he's not, and you never know who Ash's dad... Though I did see another thing that was... Lieutenant Surge says Pokemon saved him during the war, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, which means that there was a war at some point, and both you and your rival are missing fathers.
Oh.
Implying that they both passed away during the whatever war occurred, which it's also supposed to explain why there is only people like your age or adults, like there's like no one in between.
Huh.
I was like, that's actually as far as the fan theories go, that's a pretty reasonable one.
Yeah.
I don't mean to sound like a first generation elitist, but Mewtwo was the coolest legendary and always will be.
Mewtwo was a genetic freak. That's what Mewtwo was. Mewtwo is like the Scott Steiner of Pokemon. just this overly like ripped thing with tubes, and I didn't even bother fighting it with an Ultra Ball. I just threw my Master Ball, and I'm like, just take it.
That's what you gotta do.
I mean, I didn't mess around with him. He was pretty wild.
Hey, if he was in a Smash Brothers Brawl, I mean, his final smash is just being Mewtwo.
And then he was replaced by Lucario. That's sad.
I like Lucario just fine, but then you gotta get rid of Mewtwo. I mean, we can have Pichu still, but...
Oh, gross.
I know, right?
Well, they got rid of Roy.
And they replace him with Ike, who functions a lot like Roy. Much like Lucario is basically Mewtwo, minus a few things. And with a counter. Did Mewtwo have a counter?
I think so. Oh, no, dude. I remember. Roy was my guy. And then Ike came out, and I'm like, I'm not going to complain.
Man, I actually haven't played Brawl in a while.
Well, kind of a funny story. Actually, those of us that don't know us, listen to this. One of our... Basically, Mike and I and a guy named Joel that you may hear about in stories, the three of us would play Brawl literally for hours.
So we did my freshman year was we played Brawl.
Yeah, and I mean, we racked up hours, and we, like, I don't know about you, but I thought we were probably the best Brawl players on campus. And I hate to sound like pompous in saying that, but we put on a show every time we played.
Dude, you and Joel, when that Brawl tournament went down, you basically stomped through.
Yeah. And I mean, even though we had to fight each other, well, yeah, and those of us that weren't there, there was a Brawl tournament on campus, and Joel and I were in different brackets. Actually, no, Joel and I were in the same bracket, so he and I would have to fight each other at the quarterfinals.
I thought you guys fought at the championship.
No, the finals was, the guy's name was Derek.
Oh, okay.
Derek Geist. And Derek wasn't as bad as a couple of his friends, but he just,
There are a lot of people who liked using really cheap stuff.
Yeah, basically someone that would play his DDD just for the infinite combo. And I'm like, nope. But...
Were you being Captain Falcon in that tournament?
No, I was Ike.
Okay.
So pretty much, I either press the C stick to the right, to the left, or up.
Well, because I remember we did the doubles tournament after that, and you and Joel did the old school team with Rob and Game & Watch.
Yeah, we were our team name was Ultra Vintage, and I was Mr. Game & Watch, and Joel was Rob. And we ended up... I remember I ended up winning the singles tournament, and Joel and I ended up winning the doubles tournament.
You had, like... Joel had just died, you had 1 life left, a ton of damage. The other guy had 2 lives. If I recall correctly, you got the smash ball and killed him once, and then you just managed to, like, light the match.
Yeah, that was
precise right moment.
Yeah, we were. It's really weird that I can remember this, but not some of my students' names. Anyways, I remember. Yeah, because like you said, Joel is out. I only had 1 or 2 lives left, and they were still rocking pretty well. And I just did the forward smash, and all of us were pretty high on percent. And no joke, they just went across the screen. And everyone was like, "What?" And I was like, I don't know how I did that, but I did it. Saved that round.
I didn't get very far in that tournament. I think it's because the 2 people I had to play were the only people who probably played Brawl more than we did.
Oh yeah.
Guys' names were Rob and Jason.
Yeah.
We played it an absurd amount, but we did other stuff.
Yeah. We played, like, when we played as hard as we could for the time that we had, whereas they would be like, I'm not going to go to class. And, like, they'd just be creepy about it. And that's what I'm going to get into into one of my posts talking about people not playing games for the right reasons.
Robert was never too bad about it.
Nah, Rob wasn't too bad. But I remember one time I was playing Brawl. I was over at this guy. Yeah, this guy Jason's room, right? And he was playing a Zero Suit Samus, which, you know, if you Samus without the armor, she's got, over the years, she's
got wide tracts of land.
Yeah, she's gotten a lot more of what her mama gave her, you know what I'm saying? And we're playing, and he pauses. He had to pause to get up to, I don't know, like grab a drink or something. And he comes back, and it's, you know, it's paused, and it's zoomed on the person, and she's like in the air flipping or whatever. And this guy just goes, her boobs are really big. And I'm like, really, bro? Like, you're playing this game to see some little pixely action? Like, just go on some PS3 for some smooth pixelated action, you know? Like,
the Wii should not be your console of choice for this.
Yeah, be like, Thankfully, I made it a point that next round to destroy him and his largely gifted, pixelated friend.
See, like, Joey and I, and our friend Joel and Dane, we like games, we get into games, we get into geeky stuff. There comes a point where one gets too into it. And I think we knew a couple people in college who had a tendency to get too into things.
Well, not only too into it, but into it in a dimension that it wasn't made to be into. Like, give you an example. It's like those folks that play Dead or Alive, Soul Calibur, Street Fighter for the jiggliness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what bothers me. Because I remember one time I had a really nice talk with my girlfriend, and we were talking about video games, and about how there's a lot of unnecessary sexism, and especially in fighting games. Because if you look past the jiggly and scantily clad women, Dead or Alive is a very good fighting game. Like, it's super fun. There's a great counter system, awesome training mode. But the fact that, like, you pick it up and you're just like, like, that's your first thought when you play it. And it just frustrates me.
I know what you're saying, man. Well, it's like how, another thing is how in MMORPGs, speaking of those, I will soon be raising Free MMO Madness from its year-long coma.
Nice.
But it's like in free MMOs, or any kind of MMO, you know, you have your male characters, or your male people, or really any RPG, and their final armor is just this beast-looking thing, you know, it's glowing, it's big, bulky armor, and they look huge in it. And then you've got, like, the female character's max armor, and it's basically a string bikini made of metal.
See, man, I'm like, really right now?
Indeed.
And, like, even the fight moves that some of those folks have, it's just, I get that, like, since they're women, they have to, I guess, fight. I don't know if they just have not as much strength, they need to do different poses or things like that. But I'll give you an example. And once again, girlfriend pointed this out. We were bored. We were watching Iron Man 2 on the FX, right?
Nice.
Watching it, and that's where you have the Natasha Romanoff, right? Doing her thing, and you're like Scarlett Johansson, Natasha Romanoff. Of course, me, I'm like, oh yeah, she's great, you know, yeah. She totally isn't sexist, all this and that. And then they get to the scene where they're in, like, the facility, and
Hammer Industries.
Was that
at Hammer Industries?
Yeah, at Hammer. And she's in her full like leather outfit, and she's fighting all the people, right?
Yeah.
And we were watching it, and Michelle just goes, she's wrapped her legs around 3 different guys in this fight scene. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, you don't really see, like, Batman or Superman wrapping their legs and pretty much teabagging their opponents. And kind of doing things like that. And then I'm like, how funny would that be?
Well, I can partially explain that, but there is a good deal that's, comes down to sexism, but biologically speaking, women generally can't develop their upper body strength at the same rate as men do because we have more testosterone. I think the rate is males' upper body strength will develop 4 times faster than a female's, but lower body strength, that is to say your legs, they develop evenly in both sexes.
Really?
So if you have a female character who uses her legs a lot, that's probably somewhat accurate.
Gotcha.
It would be 4 times more difficult for her to keep up in the upper body department.
Huh. The more you know.
Dun 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 dun.
I just like to think about the moves that she was doing, and like imagine the Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, Batman's like
yeah, like freaking Bane's fighting Batman, like, and then Batman's like bap bap, and like breaks the little like morphine thingy that Bane has, and then he just jumps up and just like teabags Bane. He'd be like, "Get your balls out of my mouth, Batman!" Like,
talking about things that you would lose. Oh shoot, we had that conversation before we started the pod, but I think Dark Knight trilogy might have lost a little bit of integrity had that happened.
Yeah, but then again, like, I still think the teabagging of Bane, or teabaning, if you will, I think that would still make the trilogy much more credible than Bat Nipples.
Yeah, you can't really get worse than Bat Nipples or Schwarzenegger, Mr. Freeze.
Oh yeah, dude. Imagine like the Chris Nolan Batman movies, and like take out like Heath Ledger Joker and overly buff guy whose name I can't remember, Tom Hardy Bane, and you put in Arnold Schwarzenegger Mr. Freeze and Jim Carrey Riddler.
Oh God. See, that's why I'm worried about what's coming now that the Nolan trilogy is over, because they have to keep making more Batman movies. It would be, it would not be financially sound for them not to, but
yeah,
I worry that what they're going to do is they're going to say, okay, well, this trilogy was really successful, so let's leave it alone and go completely the opposite direction and, make more George Clooney Batmans.
Nice.
I want to go, you're missing the point of why Batman is successful when you do that. Like when you do callbacks to the Adam West Batman, because the Adam West Batman was created by a guy who didn't like comic books.
Yeah.
He thought the idea was silly and he wanted it to show. I'm kind of more excited for Man of Steel.
Oh yeah?
Now that another trailer has come out, it concerns me that they're going a route where Pa Kent is basically always encouraging Superman to hide his powers because he says that the world isn't ready to accept Superman yet. And I don't know, one of the things that I always thought had a big impact in shaping Clark Kent or Kal-El is the influence of Pa Kent, and that always do what's right. And I don't know if they're gonna put that more on Ma, or how he's going to come about that mentality more. Because if you haven't seen the trailer, basically there's a school bus sinking, or it's crashed, or it's in some manner of peril, and he just jumps down, he just rips the emergency exit off its hinges.
Nice.
And the people are like, oh my God, how did he do that? Or like, not everyone sees him because they're not all paying attention to the back, but there's one kid who's like, I know what I saw, and his family starts shunning him, and like, it's just proof that the world isn't ready. And I don't know, I really like how General Zod is going to be the villain, because I think he can be a very good foil to Clark. Like, he would be what Clark was if he didn't have that sense of justice or that human morality.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
See, I haven't. It sounds bad of me, and I know I need to keep a more open mind, but I haven't heard much about Man of Steel. I remember seeing the Man of Steel, the first trailer, with the Lord of the Rings music.
Yeah.
And that. But not only that, but I'm not much of a fan of Superman anyways.
Yeah.
I always thought, I mean, and I'm not going to be one of those guys that's going to be like, I won't like it because I don't like Superman. Like, if it's a good movie, it's a good movie. But, I don't know, I'm not like, I guess I'm not over, I don't know, it sounds weird to me, but like, I feel like Superman has just been done a lot, and it's...
Well, he is the first superhero, basically.
Yeah, like he is the dude, and I'm like, I get it, Superman knows his stuff. And so I just don't know what they will show that the other comic book movies have not shown yet.
Yeah.
But we will find out when the movie comes out.
That we shall. Well, we are at just over 40 minutes on this podcast, so we should probably wrap it up. Do you have anything you want to part with, Joey?
I may not get it up this weekend because I am going to be fairly busy this weekend. But hopefully by this time next weekend, we will have some good things posted on Joemiroquai, something that will actually make you come back and read a little bit. Finally get a Virtue's Last Reward review up there that I'm happy with. A nice Amaranth review, and maybe even a little bit more, just talking about life or things that we need to think about. But that's all for me.
All right, and you guys will be hearing more from me next week. Again, if this is your first time or you're seeing this on the YouTubes, our sites are joemiroquai.blogspot.com and geekasaurusmike.blogspot.com. And please check out the our main site, geeksotroundtable.blogspot.com. Yeah, just a little bit of advertisement there at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, well, see you next time.